So if you live to be 80 years old, you will spend roughly 29,000 days on this planet.
Wow. That's a big number.
Right. But here's the crazy part. If someone asks you how any one of those days went, statistics say you're likely going to compress about 16 hours of complex human experience into just a single flat syllable. You just say, fine.
Oh, yeah. Fine. I mean, it is the ultimate conversational reflex, isn't it?
Completely.
We just completely flatten out the texture of our lives because, frankly, describing the reality of a Tuesday feels too exhausting. And, we assume the person asking doesn't really want the details anyway.
Yeah, you're just being polite. But today, we are throwing fine right out the window. Welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We're looking at a transcript from an English learning show. It's called Speak English with Class, and it features two hosts, Anna and Jake. And their ultimate goal is teaching vocabulary. But to do that, they have to deconstruct the anatomy of a totally normal, average day.
Right, because to talk about your day, you need the words for it.
Exactly. So we're talking about the psychology of routines, the biology of our energy levels, and really why we do the things we do from the absolute second we wake up.
And what's great is they capture a universal human baseline. Because whether you're learning a new language or, just trying to survive the work week, we all face the exact same morning alarms, the same midday slumps, and that same desperate need to just decompress at night.
Yes, the universal struggle. So the mission of this deep dive is to extract those psychological observations, figure out the mechanics of our daily energy, and hand you a brilliant little tool from their curriculum. It's called the 5-Stop Map.
It's a really clever framework.
It really is.
Yeah.
By the end of this, you'll be able to articulate the reality of your day and move way past just saying, fine. Okay, let's unpack this, starting right at the very beginning, the literal moment of consciousness.
Right. Every day has to start somewhere. And the way we handle those first few minutes, it sets the neurological tone for the next 16 hours.
No pressure, right?
Seriously. But Anna and Jake point out that the battle really begins with the alarm clock. Regardless of whether it goes off at 6:00 a.m. or 7:00 a.m., there is this nearly universal urge to just hit the snooze button just to steal 5 more minutes.
And those 5 minutes always feel like the longest, heaviest minutes of the entire day. I swear, time physically bends in the morning.
Oh, it definitely feels that way. And there's a biological mechanism at play there. When you hit snooze, you are dropping your brain back into the beginning of a sleep cycle that you literally have no time to finish.
Oh, wow. So you're confusing your brain.
Exactly. It creates a state called sleep inertia. That's why Anna and Jake describe the physical reality of getting up as, quote, dragging myself out of bed.
Dragging. That is the perfect word.
Because you feel like your bones are made of stone, right? Your brain is bathed in neurochemicals that are actively trying to force you back into deep sleep.
Yeah, you aren't jumping up out of bed. You're slowly pulling this heavy body out of the sheets.
Yeah.
And you're shuffling to the kitchen with those tiny steps where your feet don't even fully leave the floor.
The morning shuffle.
Yep.
But instead of immediately jumping into the rush, the curriculum suggests doing this tiny check-in with yourself. Just sitting on the edge of the bed for 10 seconds to ask, how am I today? Am I tired? Am I stressed?
And that pause is a crucial intervention. I mean, the alternative, which is an incredibly common modern trap, is reaching straight for the phone.
Oh, the phone.
Right. You check a message, you look at the weather, and suddenly you are caught in the infinite scroll.
Yeah, your thumb just keeps moving up. One more post, one more email. You think it's been 2 minutes, and suddenly you look at the clock, and 15 minutes are completely gone. Sometimes you win the morning, but honestly, most of the time the thumb wins.
It's true. And when the thumb wins, you trigger a dopamine loop that leaves you overstimulated before you've even stood up.
Yikes.
Yeah, you end up starting your day on autopilot. You're just going through the motions. Anna and Jake use the perfect example, brushing your teeth and suddenly realizing you have zero memory of doing it. Oh, I've definitely done that. Just staring at the mirror, totally blank.
Right. Your brain is trying to conserve calories by turning routines into unconscious habits. So the body is moving, but the mind is completely checked out.
So to combat that autopilot, the source tells us to make conscious choices. Things like opening the curtains to let natural light in, maybe putting on some music, or just making your coffee with actual attention.
Just being present?
Right. They call this a gentle morning strategy. No big decisions, maybe lighting a candle, but I have to push back on this a little bit.
Oh, how so?
Well, we see all these morning routines online, right? Where people are waking up at 4 a.m., they're running a half marathon, reading a huge biography, and then meditating in an ice bath.
Oh, yeah, the productivity gurus.
Exactly. Meanwhile, I'm wandering around my bedroom because I can't even find my socks. And Anna and Jake suggest keeping it gentle by picking exactly 3 main tasks for the day. Only 3.
Just 3.
Frankly, if I only write down 3 things, I'm going to panic about the 20 other things I'm forgetting.
Uh-huh.
How does ignoring my actual workload help my mental state?
Well, what's fascinating here is how the brain processes cognitive load. It's not about ignoring your responsibilities, it's about managing your working memory.
Okay, go on.
If you write a sprawling list of 20 items first thing in the morning, you exceed your brain's capacity to organize it, you immediately feel overwhelmed, which actually spikes your cortisol
Oh, it
levels.
stresses you out immediately.
Exactly. It creates a noisy head. You feel like you're already failing the day before you've even started.
Because I'm looking at a whole mountain instead of just a stepping stone.
Precisely. Narrowing it down to exactly 3 primary tasks creates a realistic sense of control. Keeping the morning expectations focused tells your nervous system, we are safe, there is no emergency here.
Oh, I like that.
You can still do the other 17 things later, but you are actively protecting the startup sequence of your brain.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So you've hacked your cognitive load, you've survived the sleep inertia, and you have your 3 tasks. But all of that piece is put to the ultimate stress test the second you lock your front door.
Ah, yes.
Because the transition between your private sanctuary and your public responsibility is what we call the commute.
Officially, a commute is just the geographical trip between home and work or school. But psychologically, though, it is a liminal space.
A liminal space, like an in-between zone.
Right. It's the bridge between who you are in your pajamas and who you have to be in a 9:00 a.m. meeting.
Let's look at the classic 30-minute car commute. Anna and Jake divide this into 2 distinct experiences: kind roads and angry roads.
Kind roads are the best.
They really are. Kind roads are those rare, lovely days where you're driving, listening to music, and you just feel relaxed. You're just cruising.
But then you encounter the angry roads, you're stuck in gridlock, everything is just stopping and starting. Instantly, the mind begins its drama show. I'm going to be late, my boss is going to be mad, I am trapped. Your heart rate elevates and your fight or flight response kicks in.
While you're sitting completely still in a metal box.
Exactly. It's biologically very confusing.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The strategy they outline for dealing with these angry roads doesn't involve finding some secret shortcut. Instead of fighting the traffic, which you obviously can't control, they turn it into practice time.
A shift in perspective.
Yeah. For their audience of language learners, it's repeating English sentences out loud in the car, just talking to themselves.
This actually relies on a psychological concept called the locus of control. When a situation is entirely out of your hands, like traffic, your stress spikes because you feel helpless.
Right, you're just trapped.
But by reframing the commute from wasted time that is being stolen from me into a little pocket of time dedicated to my own self-improvement, you reclaim your agency. The traffic is still there, sure, but because you are actively choosing how to use the time, your physiological stress response actually drops.
It changes the whole environment inside the car.
Uh,
And it's not just for drivers. They explore the metro commute, too.
yes, public transit.
When you are crammed into a subway car, it's incredibly draining, just standing shoulder to shoulder. But they suggest putting on your headphones and people watching. You quietly observe the strangers around you and make up little stories in your head.
Like what kind of stories?
Oh, like that guy definitely spilled coffee on his first shirt today. Or she is secretly hyping herself up for a huge job interview, just imagining their lives.
And notice the mechanism there. Being trapped in a crowd is a passive state of frustration. You're just enduring it.
Yeah.
But making up stories about strangers shifts your brain into an active state of creative empathy. It gives you back a sense of engagement with your environment rather than just being a victim of it.
That's a great way to look at it. Oh, and we should also mention the ultimate short commute, working from home.
The WFH commute.
Literally 3 steps from your bed to your desk, entirely in your socks. 0 traffic, but also 0 liminal space to prepare your brain for the shift.
That's the danger of it. Regardless of whether your commute is 30 minutes of angry roads or 3 steps in socks, it inevitably deposits you at the work zone.
The main event.
You're thrust into the middle part of the day where time is highly elastic. I mean, it can fly by in a productive blur or it can drag on endlessly. How we manage our biological energy here dictates everything.
Absolutely. And how you start that workday matters immensely. On a highly functioning day, you make the brave choice to open your planner first.
The brave choice indeed.
You look at those 3 main tasks you set during your gentle morning, and you tackle the absolute hardest one immediately with your fresh brain.
Contrast this with the default modern habit diving straight into the email inbox or a team chat the literal second you sit down.
Guilty. I do that all the time.
Most people do. But if you do that, you are letting other people's emergencies hijack your fresh brain. By the time you get to your actual work, you've already suffered from decision fatigue.
So to tackle that hardest task, we need what they call deep work. Turning off the notifications, putting the phone face down in another room, and giving undivided concentration to the job.
No distractions.
Because mixing real focus with answering random messages is like having 10 browser tabs open in your brain at the same time. Everything runs slowly, it drains the battery, and the final output is sloppy.
Right. Context switching carries a massive cognitive penalty.
A penalty.
Yeah, every time you glance at a message and then look back at your project, your brain has to basically reload the parameters of the task. That burns physical energy.
Which perfectly explains why we can't just put our heads down and grind for 8 hours straight. The curriculum warns against the extreme danger of powering through.
Powering through is a trap.
It is. Working continuously without taking breaks to stand up, stretch, or drink water. When you just push and push, you start making basic mistakes, and you find yourself getting intensely angry at minor inconveniences.
Oh, dropping a pen feels like the end of the world.
Exactly. I used to think of powering through like driving a car constantly at maximum speed until the engine blows, but it's actually more biological than that.
It is.
Trying to focus for 4 hours straight is like trying to hold your breath while running a marathon. Your brain consumes about 20% of your body's energy. If you don't take a breather to replenish that oxygen and glucose, the organ literally starves.
And that starvation manifests as burnout. Burnout isn't just feeling tired, it is a systemic depletion.
Just totally empty.
Right, you feel completely empty of energy and joy. There is just this hollow feeling of, I simply cannot do this anymore. The core philosophy Anna and Jake are teaching is about working with your natural biological rhythms, rather than trying to conquer them through sheer willpower.
Which brings us face to face with the most universal human experience of the workday. The 3.0 p.m. afternoon slump.
3.0 p.m., the danger zone.
That moment when your energy just plummets, your eyelids get incredibly heavy, and your brain is essentially pleading, can we just hide under the desk?
The afternoon slump is not a moral failing, and it's not a lack of motivation. It is entirely physiological.
Wait, really? It's not just me being lazy.
Not at all. It's a natural dip in our circadian rhythm. Around 7 to 8 hours after waking, our core body temperature drops slightly, and melatonin production often ticks upward. Your body is literally preparing for rest.
So beating myself up for being lazy at 3.15 p.m. is totally counterproductive.
Very counterproductive.
The solution they offer is pure acceptance. Acknowledge that this is the sleepy phase of the cycle. Take a 5-minute reset. Stand up, grab a small snack, something with sustained energy like nuts, not a sugar crash waiting to happen.
No candy bars.
Nope, skip the candy, make a cup of tea. Then strategically shift your workload.
Exactly. You match the cognitive demand of the task to your available biological energy. You don't try to write a complex strategy brief at 3.0 p.m.
That's a recipe for disaster.
It is. You save the afternoon for lighter, non-genius tasks. Replying to straightforward emails, organizing files, filling out expenses. You work with the tired brain you have rather than demanding the fresh brain you left behind at 9 a.m.
Eventually, though, all that cognitive effort demands a final toll, and the afternoon gives way to the evening.
Oh.
We've spent our entire day managing our energy to avoid burnout, but how we close out the night actually dictates how the next morning's battle will begin.
We have to decompress.
We do. And we see 2 very different behavioral patterns for handling this decompression. The first is what they aptly name zombie evenings.
Zombie evenings, we've all been there.
Oh, I am deeply familiar with the zombie evening. You come home completely hollowed out, you kick off your shoes, and you just crash onto the sofa.
Yeah.
You don't sit down elegantly, you surrender to gravity. You stare at your phone, letting the algorithm wash over you, and inevitably, because you lack the executive function to chop a vegetable, you just boil pasta for dinner. Again.
Pasta is the official meal of the zombie evening. It is the path of least resistance when the biological tank is entirely empty. You're physically present, but mentally vacant.
Totally vacant.
The contrasting approach, which they recommend, is what they call soft landings.
Soft landings, that sounds much nicer. It involves active recovery, going for a short, purposeful walk without headphones, cooking something simple but nutritious, calling a friend to actually process your day out loud.
Just letting the day out.
Yeah. It also involves carving out me time, time strictly for yourself, completely detached from work obligations or someone else's problems. Reading, drawing, or just drinking tea so you can feel like an individual person again, rather than just an employee.
And a critical component of that soft landing is the physical act of winding down. They specifically mention changing out of your work clothes into comfortable clothes.
Oh, getting into the sweatpants.
Exactly. But this isn't just about physical comfort, it is a psychological trigger. It is literally pressing the off button on your professional identity.
Because if you don't press that off button, your brain is going to replay awkward emails and stressful meetings while you brush your teeth. You have to actively communicate to your nervous system that the workday is dead and gone.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the evening routine is fundamentally about establishing boundaries.
Right.
It is the intentional shift from busy mode to sleep mode. You are signaling to your endocrine system that the day's demands have concluded, which allows those stress hormones to finally recede.
And right before sleep actually happens, they recommend 2 tiny, highly targeted actions. First, spend just 5 minutes looking at your plan for tomorrow. Pick those 3 core tasks. Do it now so your brain doesn't try to frantically organize your life while you're staring at the dark ceiling at 2 a.m.
That addresses something called the Zeigarnik effect.
The Zeigarnik effect.
Yes, it's the psychological tendency to remember incomplete or interrupted tasks far better than completed ones, so your brain holds on to them.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
By externalizing your plan onto paper, you tell your brain it doesn't need to hold on to that information anymore. It dramatically reduces nighttime cortisol and anxiety.
The second action is writing a single line in a gratitude journal. Just finishing the sentence, "Today I'm grateful for."
It's so simple.
It really is. It could be a major life event, or it could literally just be the fact that the barista got your coffee order right. The imagery they use in the source is wonderful. Ending the day on a good note is like finishing a piece of music with a clean, deliberate final chord, rather than letting the instruments just awkwardly squeak to a halt.
I love that analogy. It creates a cognitive sense of completion. You aren't just letting the day bleed out into the night. You are actively resolving it.
So we've mapped the whole landscape. The heavy sleep inertia, the cognitive load of the morning, the active empathy of the commute, the marathon of the work zone, and the biological necessity of a soft landing.
It's a lot when you lay it all out.
It is. But how do you, listening right now, actually use all of this? How do you put this to work the next time you step through the door and someone asks, "How was your day?"
This brings us back to the 5-stop map. It was originally designed as a framework for English learners to construct a short narrative without getting tangled up in complex grammar.
Right.
But structurally, it is an incredible tool for anyone who wants to communicate more authentically.
So what does this all mean? It means instead of saying fine, you run through these 5 quick prompts. Stop 1, my day starts with. Stop 2, on my way to work, I usually. Stop 3, during the day, I. Stop 4, after work, I usually. And stop 5, before bed, I like to.
Rather than just listing those prompts, let's actually test the mechanics of it. Try applying the 5-stop map to a totally average, unremarkable day.
Let's do it. Okay, so if someone asks how my day was, I'd say, well, my day started with me hitting the snooze button twice and deeply regretting it once I finally dragged myself up for a dark roast coffee. On my way to the office, I hit terrible, angry roads, but I actually managed to listen to a pretty great deep dive on psychology.
Nice plug.
Thank you. During the day, I had to tackle this massive spreadsheet, so I put my phone in a drawer for 2 hours to just get it done before the 3 p.m. slump hit me like a truck. After work, I successfully avoided a zombie evening. Didn't eat pasta and went for a short walk instead. And before bed, I like to just change into my absolute oldest t-shirt, write down my 3 tasks for tomorrow, and read until I pass out.
See, notice how that functions. In about 45 seconds, you provided texture, pacing, and relatable human struggle.
It forces you to synthesize your experience.
Exactly. It proves that while your day might look mundane from an external view, internally, it is full of friction, strategy, and shareable moments.
It's infinitely better than handing someone a blank piece of paper and muttering, "It was fine." Think about the ground we just covered. We explored the biological reality of dragging a sleep-inertial body out of bed. We learned to hack our cognitive load by restricting our focus to 3 tasks.
Yep, keeping it manageable.
We reclaimed our agency on angry roads, swapped context switching for deep work, and respected our circadian rhythms by leaning into the 3.0 p.m. slump rather than fighting it. Finally, we learn to externalize our anxiety to create a soft landing, trading the zombie crash for a deliberate, grateful chord.
It is a complete cycle of energy management. You're moving from passive endurance to active participation in your own routine.
And that brings me to a thought I want to leave you with today. The hosts of our source material, Anna and Jake, they use these routines and this 5-stop map strictly to teach language mechanics. But looking at all of this laid out, perhaps there is a deeper, hidden psychological trick in this exercise. If you actually take the time to mentally narrate your day using this map, if you force yourself to notice the heavy texture of your morning, the specific mood of your commute, the exact moment your brain begs for a break, does the simple act of trying to describe your life make you live it more mindfully?
That's a profound question. It is the stark difference between observing the architecture of your life and just letting time happen to you.
The next time someone asks you, how was your day? Remember that you have an entire landscape of biology, psychology, and quiet victories to share. Don't sell us short with one syllable. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. There's always more to learn, and we'll be right here ready to explore it with you next time. Take care.